Eyes down for the morning, folks. Monday, and we've tidied up after Thursday's Mad Antiques repair session. Friday was cancelled. I don't know what I did Friday. I can't remember what happened on Friday. Oh, yes I do. I took Isabel driving. We went driving, and I was so traumatised by the time I got back that I just had to rest. Right. So it's not really suitable for doing anything out of doors today because it's dank and misty and not very pleasant. Keith's not up to it, and he's got to go to York today anyway, so we're back in here. So I've tidied up all the mess. I've cut a load of wood for the wood burner at Driffield because we need to get that going again, because it's gone back to winter again and it's cold in the evenings. So rather than turn the very expensive gas up, we're going to use that, and I'm back on this, which means I am back on this little bugger. I'm going to have another go with this blunt cutter because it is cutting not very nicely, but I'm going to have another go with it very gently and see if I can get 4 slots in. And the way of thinking about this is, if she dies, she dies, because it's far too small to sharpen. I've just taken it out and had a look at it and I thought, oh, there's no way I can sharpen that, it's just tiny. And these cutters are, by and large, they throw away nowadays, aren't they? So what I'm going to do is have a chavel on and see what happens. I'll put you on the tripod when I get to it, and you can watch me make a complete cock up. I wonder if I'm just going to check and see if I've got. I probably have in here. That looks good. That one down there looks good. That might be right. On the other one it might be too big, and I don't want too big. But let's have a look. I'll bring you back. Right, folks, well, I would suggest that this is going to be the dullest piece of milling you've ever seen in your entire life, but I shall persist with it because it is cutting and we are getting the slots, but good grief. And so on and so forth. That actually looks like it might be number 2 done. Just gonna give it a wee bit more. That indeed is number 2 done. So we're looking good. I'm not going to bore you with the other 2. I shall crack on and get them done. Needless to say, I did check, and I didn't have a sitting slot that was just the right width. I had one slightly too wide and one slightly too narrow. So we couldn't do it like that. Right, let's carry on. Number 3. That's it. And finally, number 4. Find the side that hasn't been cut, line it up with there. Bring that to there, take that up a bit, bring that back a bit, start about there. I think we may have a job. Not quite. No, it must be a bit deeper. So if we go back to there and back up again. Back to there. And that should do it, folks. Let's take it off and have a look. Well, I think I misjudged that cutter, because I've just deepened them all very, very slightly, and that has resulted... Oh, and I remembered something. This sprocket will only go on one way because the spline in the sprocket is not even. So when I turned it, it's a bloody perfect fit. And there we have it. A little shaft with 4 splines cut in it, with what I still think is not an immaculately sharp cutter, but it's done the job. I'm no great shakes at milling with small cutters. I like nice big cutters, and I like horizontal cutters, because you can really... I've done long keyways and all sorts with horizontal cutters, but big stuff. But when it gets to small vertical stuff, I get a bit nervous. But there was no need to be, because that's just bloody perfect, is that? Very pleased with that. Right, onward. Let's do some more. Right, folks, we're just set up for boring out. And that's what we're doing. Boring out the middle. Nicely undersized drill. We'll just have a check. Yep, we're well undersized. I thought we were. Always pays to check though. through to the other side. I think we're through. We'll just go a bit further. We might just be... No, we're not through yet. We've still got a little way. I've said it once, I'll say it again. These Morse taper drills are much better than drills in chucks. I don't know why, just because they're more rigidly held or something like that. But they're just better. They're just better. That should be that. That should be that through. Oh yes, we're well through. We're well through. Let's cut it off. Let's cut it off. I know it means taking it out of the chucking. It means taking it out of the chuck and resetting it, but never mind. We'll manage. There it is, folks. So all I have to do now is carefully bore that out until it's just the right size for the shaft. Right, folks, let's just take the excess off back to the back wall. I wanted to do that, I couldn't. I bet you if I wanted to do that, I couldn't do it. It's actually... Good grief. Can you see? Can you see that in there and what it's done? Yes, you can. Never mind. I can take that off with a cutting tool. Possibly even this boring bar that I've already got in. Let's set it up and see what we can do. I'll bring you back. And what I happen to have found, folks, is a 3-flute drill of the perfect size. In actual fact, it's not the perfect size. It's a little bit small. But carefully, bit by bit, we're taking it out. Of course, the thing is with this, not to go too big, because we're looking to get it as accurate as we can. Let's put this through and see how it goes. Yeah, that's it. Let's just go and see if we can get. Yeah, that's cleaned it out. That's another size out. See, I don't want to use a drill. I mean, I know this is a drill of sorts, but I don't want to use a drill because drills tend to drill oversize. I've got a very small boring bar here. But I'd have to relieve it on the bottom. And I don't want to do that. And I've got another one here which I'd also have to relieve on the bottom. I'd rather relieve that one, to be honest, than this one. I might just give it a go. But we're definitely beginning to scrape it out there. We're getting there. Well, that wonderful 3-flute drill has removed just enough metal to give me clearance for the boring bar without grinding anything off the back of it. So I'm going to go in with this and see if I can just pick away at it little by little until I've got a fit. I'm not going to film it because, as you can see, I'm going to be right over it and the tool post is going to be in the way, so I'll bring you back when I've done it. And there we are, folks. At the end of the day, a successful outcome. Now we're going to have to weld it either in the lathe or between the centres, which means I'm going to have to put in the centre at the other end of the shaft. No, I'm going to have to weld it in here because I need the chuck to grip the bell and I need the centre to hold that in place while I get some tacks on it. Right? Lovely! Job done. And it's home time. I'll see you all tomorrow. And there we are, folks. It's a rough assemble, but it's spinning, it's not catching, and I haven't got this centred up yet. I've actually tapped that and got it out around, so that's easily fixable by putting it back in the lathe, centering it up and welding it. But first I've got to mock it all up, and I've got to get Andy here and clamp this engine down just to get a position, lift it on and see if it clears the body. So that's, for now, that's it for this job. And then we shall refit the exhaust, make a little exhaust pipe to go out underneath, put the carburetor air filter back on. I think we're beginning to cook with gas, as they say. Right, that's it for today. Monday's gone. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Good morning, folks. Tuesday, and spring has returned to Langtoft. Isn't that a beautiful sight, eh? Isn't that a beautiful sight? And the spring's nice as well. So what's on the menu today? Well, it's our family's KitchenAid Ultra Power, which has got an odd speed fault. Sometimes it runs at the right speeds and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it runs fast all the time. But running fast all the time means the speed control is packed up. But I've just tried this now and it seems to work absolutely fine. And I've checked the brushes are fine, it's not worn out brushes. 1, 2, 4, no 3, 6, 8, 10. So I've ordered some food safe grease to give it a rebuild. I don't know how long it's been since it's had a rebuild, because this is a commercial model which came from a commercial kitchen. It supposedly went faulty and they chucked it out and bought a new one, and my very good friend snagged it and give it to Catherine. So there you go. So let's be in and have a look. It's a weird and wonderful thing. These are American made. They're very, very, very high quality. I used to work at Jefferson's. We used to service Kenwood mixers and Sunbeam mixers. We never had anything to do with KitchenAids, but these are really well made. They're horrendously heavy, really well made, built like a tank. And surprisingly, the parts for them are reasonably cheap. For instance, the new electronic speed control board is 23 quid. So there you go. However, they are very expensive to buy new. Let's be in. Well, this is fascinating. There's the electronic speed control board in there, keeping the fingers out because this is switched on. And there's some sort of switch. Some sort of governor, I think. Right, okay, I'm going to take all this off and check it for cleanness, and then have a close look at the little circuit card in the top. But before I do that, I'm going to make a wiring diagram, just so I can get it back together. Right, I've taken the, this is a switch. It's just a switch operated by a governor, which brings various parts of the electronic speed control into play and out of play, and also it's the on-off switch as well. There's the electronic speed control board. Now one of these is 23 quid, which is very reasonable, but I'm not convinced there's anything wrong with it at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just whip the gearbox open and have a look at the grease, because I've ordered some food safe grease, and one of the things that does happen to these is they get clogged with flour. The flour gets into the grease turns into horrible gunk, and they slow down. So I'm going to check that as well. Well, that's the trim ring off there that just taps off, and you can see in there there's quite a lot of gunk. Let's carry on. Right, well, we've tapped out the parallel pin and we've taken off the main gear house at the bottom, and as you can see, that grease is fairly grotty. So we'll carry on working our way inside into the main gearbox. And there we go. Little surprise down here. This is another board which is actually 110 240 volt adapter board. It's obviously working okay. Now then, if you look down here, if you look at that grease there and compare that with this untouched grease up here, this untouched grease up here is very nice condition. This is like a bit grotty and a bit gluey, but luckily none of the gears seem to be damaged, so it looks like we're okay there. So it's just going to be a strip down, clean out, and a repack when the grease comes. There's loads of grease, absolutely loads of grease in there that's completely untouched, so I might save that until the grease comes. Well, that's it for now on this job, folks. I've got everything cleaned, got the gearbox internals clean, ready for some new grease. There's nothing wrong with the motor. I've had all this out, cleaned the board, put it back in. So I'm ready for the grease to arrive and rebuild, which is quite a simple job. They're very well made. And then what I shall do is I shall take it back, let Catherine use it again, and if the speed is still dodgy, I'll get another speed control board, because that can be changed right from the outside. It's quite an easy thing to change. Speed control board. That. I'll get another one of those. But at the moment I've cleaned it up. I shall put some more heat compound on there when I put it back on. And that's it. That should do it. Job should be a good one. And if not, new speed controller. But what a piece of kit. How well made. How well made. unlike anything we make nowadays. Never mind. Oh look, it's a Russell Hobbs kettle. It's a, what model is it? A K2R. It's a K2R. I used to repair these at Jefferson's in the 70s, and damn fine kettles they were as well. I've just come across this one sorting out some junk down below, and it looks from the shape of the element that the element's gone. So I have a new element, so I thought I'll just stick a new element in that, and then I realised that I need what we used to call at Jefferson's a Morphy Richards screwdriver to do that split nut with, and I haven't got one. So I thought, you've got metal, you've got a lathe, let's quickly make one. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So in we go. Of course, always helps if you tighten the chuck up, doesn't it? Again. Lovely. Centre it out. Chuck out. And here's one I prepared earlier. I'm just a bit fast there. That's better. far enough, folks. There we have the makings of a Murphy Richards screwdriver, and that has drilled beautifully centrally. Ever since I spent some time on this lathe, shit, that's hot. Ever since I spent some time on this lathe and aligned the headstock, what a difference it's made. Right, the grinding. And there we have, folks, one facsimile of a slightly rough, but it'll neaten up in a minute, Murphy Richards screwdriver for taking split nuts off. There you go. And there we have it, folks. The tool and the nut that it fits. Job's a good one. Well, it's got the nuts off, folks. I've got the control block off, but unfortunately it looks like it might be well knackered, because that's all loose in there, and that's one of the contacts that goes onto the end of the element. So I have a feeling I've seen a new one of these in a box, so I'm just going to have a quick search and see if I can find it, because it's nearly home time. Well, folks, I failed to find one. I was lured into a state of complacency by the fact that it looked all immaculate at this side. I thought, that's a new one, but it isn't. There may be a possibility of repairing that, because this part is, or was, 47 quid and is obsolete. So it's either put the element in and fix it, or the whole thing's scrap. I'll have a go tomorrow. But while I was looking, I did find something of interest. I have to get this so that there's no glare on it if I can. There I am, aged 2 years old, sitting on the steps in Pudsey, West Yorkshire. Note how black all the stone is. The reason the stone is black is because I lived in a little group of 4 or 5 houses which was halfway down a hillside, and in the bottom of the valley was the mill with a huge chimney, and I was about this age, or very close, when the mill and its chimney was demolished. So there you are. What a cutie, eh? Get that hair. Dressed in the highest fashion for 1954. See you all tomorrow. Just a little job for Octopus Broadband.
Octopus. Jellyfish.
Octopus, jellyfish, bloody jellyfish. Where did octopus come from?
It won't be the first time.
Jellyfish broadband. Right, just drilling some holes in some stainless steel plate, which they were struggling with because, of course, it's stainless steel. But it needs to be because it's going up on a mast. Job done. Folks, back at the workshop. Just did that little job for Jellyfish, which is run by one of my old oppos from the days when we used to run Langtoft.net or LN Communications together, and drilling stainless steel plate, not very nice, and they've been struggling, and they've got to climb a mast with it, so it wants to fit when they get up there, because it's a long way up and it's windy today. Because of that, I had to leave home early, and I didn't wait in for the grease delivering, so I shall do that job tomorrow, because it's going to come today, or at least I hope it's going to come today. They say it's going to come today, so that's the job for tomorrow. Michael thinks he may have one of these but I'm going down to look later on. But first I'm going to have a coffee. Right folks, so end of the day, Wednesday. What have we achieved? We've achieved a couple of bits of photographica, more bits of laying about. I'm sorting stuff out. We've achieved a scale with a missing pan and a set of weights, and we have another enlarger here which the tube is missing. That isn't the right tube for it, I thought it was. And also a nice Bolex Payard cine camera made in Switzerland. Little Rolls Royce it was, filmed all sorts. But there you go, what's it worth today? We'll find out. Right, Andy's coming on Friday with more antiques to repair, and we're also going to have a crack at this. So, tomorrow, get the mixer done, get the bench cleared, get sorted out, and get ready for Friday. See you later. Good morning folks. We have the rather small pack of grease. As you can see, there's enough, but I would have thought that you would use almost all of that to pack this. I mean, it's £8, you know, but the mixer are like 400, so there you go. Right, let us commence on the reassembly. Now you will note I have not done this as a how-to, because if you look on YouTube, there are people far more expert than me at rebuilding KitchenAid mixers. So if you want to know the details, go and look at them. Just look up rebuilding KitchenAid mixer, and there's all sorts of people that do it, and they do a good job. So I'm just going to crack on, put this gear assembly back on and start greasing up. But first, just to check on myself, I'm going to go and look at the YouTube. Right folks, so we're on the rebuild. We've got a liberal coating of grease in, we've got the gears in, I've put the compound gear set in there and screwed that down tightly. A little bit of grease in the top there, and we're almost ready to fit the gear case back on. But I need to next rebuild the back end so that I can get that spring in and then put that cover on. So we'll do that next, and then we'll go on to the final assembly. Not a difficult job. Let's hope it works. And I got carried away and reassembled it without filming it. But very interesting. The speed control is a little electronic unit at the back here, but you set it manually with a governor. And there's 2 screws that set the low speed, and there's a 3rd screw that sets the high speed. So when you're in 1, you set it to 60 RPM, and when you're in 6, you set it to 180 RPM. And that's your speed settings. And there's 10. But that's a lot quieter than it was, and a lot smoother. I think she'll be pleased with it. Also, I've cleaned it up. So now the next thing to do is to put it in the car. And then we're going to tidy up the workshop, because tomorrow Andy's coming. And if we have any spare time over, I'm going to do some more sorting out downstairs. So there you go. Sorry about that folks. But as I say, if you're really interested in doing one, there's some very good tutorials on the internet, and I have been watching one. I'd never done a KitchenAid. I don't think I've done a KitchenAid before anyway. I've done, we used to do Sunbeam and Kenwood when I was at Jefferson serving my apprenticeship. We were Sunbeam and Kenwood agents. They're all different. The difference between the Sunbeam and the Kenwood is amazing. They're both good mixers, but the Kenwood was more motor commercial catering. There used to be a guy in Driffield who was famous as the Carling P King of Driffield, a guy called Ken Bentley, and he used to come around to our second-hand shop and buy every Kenwood mixer we had, and he used to line 10 or 15 Kenwood mixers up and have them all mixing something different for his delicatessen. But there you go. But what a superb machine, what a really well built piece of kit. Of course it's American, it's not British, it's made in America. This is actually a 110 volt machine with a little board in the bottom that converts it to 240. So there you go. Right, job finished, onward. As usual, tidy up. Incidentally, I used the electronic tachometer to set it up for the first time, used in anger, and because it's all white and reflective, I put a coil of black tape around the boss and then put the silver reflective tape on top of that, and it worked perfectly. So if you've got something that's reflecting and not playing the game, just put a coil of black tape around it and then put the silver reflective tape on the black tape, and you'll get a better reading. Well, you'll get a reading. With a surface that's as reflective as that, you don't really get a reading. Right, there you go. Look at this, folks. Sacrilege. It's the last vestige of Moulton Gate Stores, Langtoft. It's the till. And I've just taken the handle off the front and the brass lock out as mementos, and I'm going to burn it because unfortunately it's full of woodworm. And so it's going to keep me warm for the last time ever. Never mind. Bye bye. Morning, folks. Friday. And an unboxing. What have we here? First of all, we have a selection of herbal tea bags culled from the cupboard in the kitchen so that I can drink something other than coffee. But that's not important, you're not interested in that. What you're interested in is the ER32 by International 30 collet chuck, the spanner, and if I can get it out, the collets. The right way up. The right way up. No, the wrong way up. Bollocks. Label to the top, Phil. Label to the top. Always the label to the top. Right, there we are. Still wrapped in their fantastic polythene wrappers. From RDG. I'll let you know what the run-out's like when I get it all set up. But this is in order to hold my milling cutters, because apart from the threaded shank type, which I've got nearly all the collets for, I have got nothing to hold plain shank milling cutters, so I've got quite a lot of them. And so I thought, what's the way to go? What does most people use? And most people use ER32. So I've gone for ER32. I've got a set of Imperial collets coming, and also an ER32 square collet holder and a hexagonal collet holder. I don't know why. They were cheap. It was Temu, they were cheap. I was sucked in. It was late at night. I just spent money. Right, onward. Here we have it, folks. The next job. I think I filmed the last job, I'm not sure. I'm going to refilm it again just in case I didn't. This is quite a nice old microscope. Very small lens. Tiny lens, quite nice. And it's just come off its base and it wants just a blob of solder and warming up to put it back on. So I'm just going to tin that and then we'll put it back together and carefully warm it. Right, I'm not sure if I did film this or not, so I'm filming it again. What we've done here is we've warmed these up and got the 2 bolts out that were seized in. There's the 2 bolts. This is the, I think it says Ogypus automatic bicycle stand. You wheel your bicycle wheel into it, presses down on there, the 2 ends fold up like that.
Push it in the middle.
Push it in the middle, and grabs your wheel, and you've got an auto bicycle stand, but it needs the rollers on it. So there we go. And there we go, folks. Nicely soldered up and back together. That's a nice old machine, is that? That's an old telescope. That is microscope, telescope. That's pre 1900. It's old. It's not a repro. You can never tell these things because they make such good repros nowadays. But this is real, and it's old. Lovely thing. Another little job. We've just very carefully. What is this? Is it crystal?
Agate.
Agate. This is a piece of agate which has been polished into a handle, and this is a tiny screw which was jammed in it, glued in it, and we've managed to heat this very briefly until we saw the mold grips just move, and then pulled it out. So we've managed to heat it enough to soften the glue without damaging the agate. But the last time Andy brought one of these to me, it had already been, the steel pin had already been cut off, and I tried to drill it out and the agate broke, of course, because I was trying to hold it in a vice and it just wasn't up to it. There you go. Another job done. The next job in our continuing saga is to take this, which is a wrought iron bowl with a brass stem, and just make and insert a tiny little pin in the back, in the base, which is the heel of the pipe, which is missing. There is a hole there. It does appear to have the remains of a thread in it, but we're going to see if we can just get something pointed enough just to screw in tight. Off we go. Retractable fishing pole, fishing gaff, which is has no point on it. So I've checked the thread out. It's 3/8 BSF, and I've threaded this piece of painted rod, which I'm going to clean up, and then we're going to put a point on it, and then we're going to bend it and see how it goes. Here we have a piece of bare wood, which, when you look at it closely, is amazingly interesting. It's got a real pattern and texture to it, and it's going to be mounted on there, on a brass pillar. So what we've got to do is make a brass pillar with a little boss at the bottom, with a couple of threads and a nut to fix it under there. Let's crack on. Heating the gaff up for bending. It's going good. There she is, folks, a completed gaff. Nice. Aluminium bosses on it. Odd, unusual. Right. Next job is a Whitworth thread on the end of a piece of brass rod, a nice authentic square nut in there with this collar soldered onto there first, so that we've got a little collar to tighten it up against. Let's do it. So, our marble plinth, after some trepidation and trouble, is drilled, ready to araldite a stud in. Here is said stud with nut on, and we've drilled the base to match, and it's all ready to be araldited and assembled. So that's another job done. Now we're going to drill the wooden potato. Lovely. So we've got that done. We've got the nice wooden potato on a stick. We've got the key straightened out, looking very nice now. We've got the gaff done. We've got that with its thread taken out. We've got the threads taken out of that, so we're building up. We're having a good day today. We're building up quite a lot of done jobs. It's going well. Very fine, very fine job here. Just managed to drill this out with a Dremel, and got the old steel stud out, which was half the trouble, and I'm tapping it 6BA, and it's tapping beautifully. So I must have got all the steel out, thank goodness, otherwise it would have snapped the tap. So we got the old stud out after a little bit of prattling about and punching and careful tapping with a very sharp point. We've tapped it 6BA. We've drilled a slot for the spring peg, this is a replacement spring apparently, and who knew you could get replacement springs for antique powder flasks, and that's the job done. It fits. Another one saved. And there it is, folks, fixed with a new spring on, and you can see how it works. Job's a good one. It's now a complete powder flask and ready for sale. Who would have thought that they made replacement springs for powder flasks? But apparently they do. Another good one. Right folks, here's the total for the day. Andy's been making some gnomons for sundials. We've straightened the key out. We made the little bit for the pipe. I did the dicey drilling and put the spring on the nice little powder flask. We made the hook for the fisherman's gaff. We've just done this, which is a little pommel nut, yeah, which finishes that knife off. It's just a fettle. We took that out of there. We got the after some messing about, we got the plinths drilled and made a piece of threaded rod to fit it. We got the potato, or the burl, which is very interesting when you look at it closely. It's got a lot of character about it. Got that on its stand, fixed the microscope, and last but not least we welded up this frame to support our Maori figure?
No, it's African.
African figure. This African figure. He's a bit split, but he's got a heart of wood. Right, so that's it for today. In fact, that's it for the week, because it's Friday.
Wheel. Yeah.
Oh, we did the what's it called? Ogtipus. Oggipus or something. The Oggipus patent bicycle stand. We repaired that as well. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for likes. Send me some comments. And I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.